There's those moments. They are the moments where you are up against something that's really difficult and you don't know whether or not you can do it. And you decide in that moment that you are going to cringe forward. You're going to cringe forward and create. You're going to create content and you're going to create the life that you've imagined yourself that you want to have by pushing through that fear and that uncertainty. Today, I have a special guest, Dianne Shelton, and she's going to share a little bit about her journey of what she's done to cringe forward in her life and in her business. Please welcome Dianne.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, I'm so glad that you're here today. Now, tell us a little bit about who you are, Dianne, and what you do for work.
Thank you for having me. And my name is Dianne Shelton. I'm a multi-offer strategist for multi-passionate women because I have an ADHD brain and I love to be able to create multiple things and be able to create a business I love and also help multiple people and also simple systems that help you scale and help more people as well.
So who are the primary people that you typically work with?
So in the online space, what I've noticed is that people come on to start their business because they are passionate about something, but not everyone wants to fight with tech and not everyone really understands the strategy behind things. So I try to really pair up those two different strategies and systems to really help push forward in the momentum in that space.
Wonderful. I know there's a lot of different things when I decided, okay, I'm going to be a solopreneur and my business is going to be service-based. There are so many different tools and services out there, and it can be really overwhelming when you're starting out, especially if it's a space that you've never done before. And I made a lot of mistakes and I wasted a ton of money on different things. Did you go through that process as well?
You know, I have a computer science background. I love everything tools and I love everything tech. So yes, I've got addicted to AppSumo for a little bit there, which is like a lifetime, subscription based and stuff like that. And to your point, there's so much noise out there in terms of like which tool will serve you and whatnot. So really now what I tell my clients is what is really the functionality you're looking for and start with that before you look for a tool, because people have made $1 bazillion with just a Google document and a PayPal link.
Right. And I'm like, how do I do that? Because that seems like the easy way around it, and I've put time and energy into things, written a book that no one's read or spent a lot of time creating templates that no one's purchased. How do you help women? I know you've talked about people that are multi-potential people. Tell me a little bit more about what that means and how what you do can help them.
Yeah, so absolutely. So what I like to help with is because what I've noticed, to your point, like the multi-passionate, multi-potential people, we get distracted with the shiny objects, right? It's just like, oh, I see person X doing this, and I see this strategy is helping someone create a like $1 billion business. So they're distracted trying to really mimic someone else's. So what I like to do is really take them to step back and be like, okay, like what's your zone of genius? What do you really want to do? And then create more of a practical strategy that works for them. So starting from what they want to do instead of and aligned with them, instead of getting distracted with everything, and then create a step-by-step kind of like action plan so that it's really serving them well. And it's when you get distracted, you have a roadmap to go back to. So that's super important, I think, especially for multi-passionate people, to have a roadmap for yourself so you can trust yourself that you're doing the right things for you.
I love that you bring up a great point that your path isn't necessarily someone else's. What did you do to discover your own path?
A bunch of things. I feel like that's the same for a lot of people, right? It's trusting yourself that it might not be, it's not a straight path for sure. So I started out in corporate and I was doing IT management and IT everything. So kind of like helping people in the management space. So what I noticed is that what I really enjoyed was mentoring people. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to go with that. And if through evolution of really tapping into what I like to do, it's evolving into, okay, I'm really good at helping people in regards to like understanding what their zone of genius is. I have a tech background. So it's kind of like tuning into yourself and
Uh-huh.
understanding you and not ignoring your true passion, right? Because for a little while there, so I created my brand Passion Breakthrough because it's like I want to help everyone pursue their passion because
I
I
want to
want
help
everyone to do
all the
that.
people. I want to help all the people. And then
Right.
you get to the point,
So
right, and you're like, I can't
that
help all
doesn't
the
work.
people. No.
So that's what I realized. What I realized was that I wanted to do that. I still want to do that, but I really wanted to move away from tech for a little bit because I was burnt out. That's what I
Mm.
realized about myself. So with me kind of getting more synced up with myself, I was able to redirect my passion with kind of my MBA background for doing the business side, and now I have more clarity. Again, it goes back to evolution of, okay, I'm clear with what I like in terms of helping people with their business, and I'm clear with what I'm really good at, which is like apparently the simple systems and not getting lost in just like fighting and banging your head against the wall for tech. So just pairing those two things up and then creating that multi offer strategy, because multi passionates need that help.
Oh, definitely. What was there something particular that made you want to leave that corporate environment? Did you have, I know a lot of times there's certain things in our life or in our business where we just come to a point where we're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, there's, to be honest, there's a couple things, right? So personally, I started coaching other women and in terms of like their STEM, in terms of how they can grow in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and math field, right? So how they can grow in the career. However, because it's such a male dominated field, some of them were leaving, and it kind of breaks my heart, but because they're very passionate about what they want to do, I figure, you know what, I really like these people. I'm going to continue to help them in their business journey, since I have the MBA background. So to be honest, I got jealous because it's like, okay, I need to walk the talk. I'm seeing them be successful in this, and I really enjoy the business side too. So I grew up with my parents have a business, so all of that stuff kind of just led me into really pausing and taking the leap of faith and all that good stuff. And there was another thing too, is in terms of personally, I feel like personally it was time to move on, to be honest,
Mm,
because my okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit personal. So
that's why we're
I
here. Let it all out. Come on.
right. So in my I was married, and then I one of the things is that I felt like I was just working for the sake of working, and I was just doing what society was telling me in terms of like, go to college, get a job, get married, have kids. And then when I finally decided, okay, like that wasn't the life I wanted to live anymore. I wanted to kind of just live fully, and maybe it was one of those like quarter life crisis at that point in time. But it's just like, okay, I'm gonna just go for it. I have the freedom now. I don't have to pay for the mortgage that was stuck with me through my marriage. I don't have to support my ex anymore. All these things. And when I really tapped in and I realized this is what I want, like as the person that is in charge of her own life, I'm gonna go for it. And no, nothing's stopping me now. So that is why it's just like, okay, now's the time.
Oh, definitely. And I think as women, we have a tendency to do that.
Hmm.
I think that we're nurturers and we're innate, both culturally and innately, we want to care for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times that gets pushed down and pushed to the side, and our needs and
Hmm.
who we are as a person, all of those labels that other people put on us as a wife, as a mother, as all of these other things that we do, we can lose sight of who we are
Yeah.
in the process. I love that you've been able to discover that and spend your time helping other women discover that as well.
Yeah, and what happened was that I think I was pouring my energy into something else that was no longer serving me. And so now I can pour all my energy into something that I love. And I think that's what it is sometimes you get drained and pulled down and there's season for everything, right? Like it's okay if you're in that season of like you have to support your family and you have this kind of like fire inside of you that is waiting to be let out. So in those cases, it's just tuning into, you know, places like these, like tuning into these conversations to kind of keep that inspirations and stuff like that is really helpful.
Oh, definitely. And I think you bring up a great point as well, that sometimes we're in a space that we don't want to be in, but it's necessary. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad space to be in. And there are ways that we can explore who we are and what we're passionate about while still meeting those needs in our roles. I know that I had 4 small boys, 3 of them are triplets. And when I was at home full time with them, and well, I'm at home full time, but I'm working. So it's a little bit, I'm working to be paid.
I like
So
that.
there's a difference. There's a lot of women who stay at home and are primary caregivers, and they're stay-at-home moms. You're working at home. I firmly believe that. But I was able to focus on something that I loved. I was able to blog and say, okay, I'm Genealogy Jen. This is my thing that's just for Jen. I think there's everyone is just for them. Yeah, they need to find what that thing is just for them that doesn't belong to anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and for some time there, so between work and supporting my ex and stuff like that, I had crafting. So for me, my hobby was like I like to do like paper crafts and stuff like that. That was my creative outlet. So to your point, it's just you need an outlet of some sort because it's your freedom to be just you and just create and whatever that looks like. There's so many different outlets out there. Find your tribe and like find your support system that's going to allow you to find yourself a little bit more too.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's a great point. That's part of the reason why I built my community. It's that cringe forward community of women to be able to show up, cringe and all, and create content to grow their business, which is so important when you have an online business. You can't avoid social media because people will Google you, they'll search for you, and it's important to brand you before others do and not let that fear hold you back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. Like I personally remember when I first got online and I wouldn't have been able to do an interview like this. I went live for 2 seconds, turned it off because it's just like, oh my gosh, I was like frozen in my tracks. And so I decided I was not going to do the live, even though like 2 people saw the 2-second live. And so I created a video, I recorded a video instead. It took me like 12 tries. And it's like, okay, my phone is dying. I can't keep re-recording this like 2-minute live that I'm trying to do. And I had a resting bitch face, you know, and it's just like really angry and emotionless. And it's just like, okay, like at least I did it. To your point, like I had a community supporting me. And that's the value of the community you're building, is because people can give you feedback, they can give you that accountability and support you and cheer you on. And it feels good. It's going to keep making you want to keep showing up and serving more people, which is what we are all about. We want to serve more people. So yeah, find your community.
Yeah, and cringe forward and create.
Yes.
I can relate to what you were talking about with the video. That's why I built this. You know, at first, you know, I took the classes. I had the studio lighting, I have the fancy pants microphone, and I didn't create the content. And I knew that that was holding me back from my business because I was afraid to be seen. I didn't feel, you know, and I tell women now, your voice has value. Your message has meaning, and it's your time to be seen and heard. And it's okay to not be perfect. In fact, those imperfections are beautiful. That's the best part. People want that raw authenticity on social media. And I love that about you. That's part of the reason why I wanted you to be able to have this conversation with me, is because you are who you are. And yeah, you know, people don't want the perfection. They want you. So what have you done to remind yourself when you're creating that content, just to show up, cringe and all?
Yeah, well, you brought up a couple of great points, right? So I always like to say, take imperfect actions. And you mentioned earlier about culture. So I grew up in the Philippines and moved to Minnesota like all my adult life. But it taught me that I still have some cultural stuff to kind of peel away and kind of cringe forward. Because in social media, when I first came on, it was mostly my family members. So it's just like, okay, what is my great 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 aunt gonna think about me going? It's like, who are you to go live and talk about this business venture that you're doing? Didn't you just have like a different business venture like 2 months ago? Or aren't, like you're giving away all of your years of education to take a risk on yourself? What kind of crazy person are you? So all of
Right?
these different things that's just like pulling you back from really showing up and serving more people. That's what happened with me for the longest time. And now it's just like, it's still there. But again, it's the comparison between your inner, negative Nancy voice versus your inner child voice of just go out there and play. And
Mhm.
that's when I was a kid, I would fall because I'm clumsy. So I would fall over. I just get back up, scrapes and all, and just keep playing because it's fun. And I'm having fun with my friends, and I'm having fun just kind of, to be honest, bossing them around a little bit, because as coach nowadays, that's what helps us in terms of helping more people. So I think you bring that with you no matter what, and just bring your inner child.
Oh, I love that. And you brought up a great point about family members.
Yeah.
And especially on social media, a lot of times they follow us, they want to engage with us, and they can be some of our most difficult critics, or our friends or people that know us well. What have you done to kind of counter some of that negative feedback you've received from people?
I
Or
do
maybe
want
your family's all roses and sunshine. I mean, I've got some cheerleaders,
to.
but I've got
I do
other
want
people
to
that
make a little correction there, though. We are our worst critics. At least
are
it
like,
feels like it. Some of our critics, family members, they don't help the inner critic inside of us, and they just kind of like amplify that. I think
that,
what that
that,
helped me is realizing that their opinion is, they support you, but they don't understand you. And they're
Mm.
supporting you through their own lens of how they've gone through life and how they perceive the world. So from that perspective, it's just like, I have to go back to them from a place of love, because it's like, thank you for your support. Thank you for telling me that I might not be good enough, because I know you're telling me this because you care about me and because you don't want me to be hurt. So thank you. And I know it's not my negative feelings, so I release this from me, and I'm gonna keep doing it anyway because I'm stubborn.
Well, you're going to cringe forward and keep on creating the life that you want and that content to build your business and everything else. I love that. I love that you said that your family members, that it isn't the worst critic, that it's you.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I struggle with most is when they voice my inner critic.
Right.
So it's not necessarily what they're saying, because some of it I could be like, whatever, is this true? It's not. It's when they say it, and they say it in that exact same voice that I'm hearing in my head,
Yep.
that it makes me stop and be like, well, maybe they're right. I think you have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur, though, because
Yep.
it's very risky. You're putting yourself out there, you're blazing your path, you're taking something that's not stable or secure, and you're doing it anyway.
Yeah, I read a quote. I don't know if I'm gonna get this right. I read a quote somewhere in terms of like, entrepreneurs are crazy because they don't want to trade their time for money. They'd rather just, like make more money, something like that. In terms of like, we don't want more money necessarily because we don't want to be stuck into a cube 9 to 5. We'd rather spend more of our time and invest in ourselves to make more money, right? So those kinds of stuff I think is important to realize, is that sometimes money is not the end goal as entrepreneurs. It's to help more people.
Definitely. And I've built a business, and I became an entrepreneur because I wanted the quality of life that I wanted.
Yes.
I wanted to be able to spend more time with my boys at home. I wanted to be able to pick them up after school every day. I wanted to be able to lay out in the sun and do my work outside in the middle of the afternoon, or say, I'm going to go to the lake. I have the freedom to be able to choose to spend my time doing what I love and what I'm passionate about, working 20 to 30 hours a week. And I'm actually making more money than I was working full time at other jobs, which that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the quality of life that you get with it, right? So it's the money and also the freedom. It's a gift and a curse to have the freedom that we have, because sometimes we get caught up with people saying that, hey, we want, like, I like to go out for a walk and enjoy, like right now it's fall and there's beautiful colors, and so I'm not gonna wait until the evening because the sun is out in the middle of the day, so I'm gonna go for a walk when I feel like it and gotta get away from my computer, right? So those kinds of instances is what I've built in for my life. So someone else listening might be like, okay, I want that too, or I want to be laying at the beach. And or other people might be stuck with working 24/7, which leads to burnout because they're trying to be like, okay, someday I'm gonna get there. So I think there's gift and a curse to the freedom-based lifestyle taboo that is out there in the social media world too, though. Create it for you based on what you can do right now.
Right. And it's your goal and where you want to be and who you want to become. It doesn't have to be the path that someone else said, or it doesn't have to be the same path that someone else creates. Like you mentioned before, it's what you choose and where you want to be and who you want to become.
Yeah.
So
not everyone have boys to play with during the day, and
we don't necessarily play, but I'm like, they've got to eat. And sometimes I get so focused. That happened to me yesterday. I get so focused on my project, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It's snowy like 20 months out of the year here. And I was inside and I was working, and I'm like, dang it, I missed an opportunity to do something else. I mean, but sometimes you just got to check it off the list and get the stuff done and put the fun to the side so that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like sometimes we get caught up with, I wish I would have done this differently, or, you know, like I didn't do this right. And we're talking about cringing forward and taking imperfect actions. And don't be so hard on yourself, you guys, because there's always a brand new day, and giving yourself grace allows you to have more fun instead of being in that negative mindset of I'm not doing the right things. We're always doing the right things in that right moment. So I think we're doing the best we can, right?
Right. We're doing the best we can, and we're where we need to be for who we want to become. I say that we're not just human beings, we're human becomings. We're always becoming more, and we have that power to be able to change who we are. So if you had one piece of advice, to be able to give someone who's thinking about taking that plunge into entrepreneurship, especially with an online business, what would that be?
Just one piece of advice. I would say don't be the smartest person in the room, and either find your community, surround yourself with people that are where you want to be, or find a mentor. You know, invest in yourself, because you're your best asset. And sometimes that's what I got caught up in. I'm just like, I already have the knowledge, I already have my MBA, I know what I'm doing. So being that smartest person might slow you down. So try to find your tribe right away, because your tribe is going to keep you accountable. They're going to inspire you. They're going to give you ideas that you didn't even know you have, and kind of accelerate the momentum for your business.
Definitely. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that earlier, and we don't know that we need help with something until we see that there's a gap.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's important that everyone has a coach.
Yes.
Or a strategist that they work with. And that, you know, my coach says all y'all need therapy. So because your coach is not your therapist, they can help you get and dig to see, okay, what's holding you back. But a lot of times it's our emotional stories that we're telling ourselves and the other things that are going on personally that can impact our business. So it's a balance between having what we need for our business and what we need for our personal life really align well with each other. So
nice. I love that. Yeah. Having a therapist helps too. Talk out your feelings and let go of all those ick that's holding us back. It's definitely helped me too.
Oh, definitely. So Dianne, how can people reach out to you to be able to follow you on social media and to learn more about your programs and services that you offer?
Thank you for asking. So if you guys would like to follow me or find more and stalk me on social media, my handle is @PassionBreakthrough, or my website is passionbreakthrough.com. I have a bunch of different tools in there. I have some free resources, and you can find out more about my academy, which is my 12 months program where you can get access to my brain and the tools and all the techniques that I use to kind of scale a multi-offer suite strategy for my business and for my clients.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Here's your reminder that your voice has value. Your message has meaning, and it's your time to be seen and heard. Like Dianne mentioned, you have that you have multiple, like Dianne mentioned, it's multi-potential. It's not just one thing that you're great at, it's who you are at your core. We have a community of entrepreneur women where you can connect for accountability, creative ideas, and to build that confidence to cringe forward and create content. You can learn more at cringeforward.com. I'd love to have you join us. Thank you.